Welcome to the Quantum Empath. I'm your host, Kelley Michelle, intuitive guide, alchemist, and reality hacker. This is a space where esoteric knowledge, ancient wisdom, personal development, and quantum physics meet to help you shift your frequency, break old patterns, and step into the life your soul came here to live. Let's expand your awareness, upgrade your energy, and create your dream reality, one episode at a time. Let's begin. December 19th, 2025. We are in a new moon, and Spirit is speaking to me so clearly. And this morning, the signs were coming in that I need to get super clear on the people that I want to help, that I know that I came here to help. I was watching TV and I was listening to a tarot reader that I love. His name is My Soul, Maisol. He's out of Australia, and he has a tendency to give me very clear channeled readings. In the middle of his reading, the internet went out and I wasn't able to continue streaming his video. And my phone was in the kitchen on the charger, and so I just sat there on the couch with my coffee and myself. I don't get quiet often enough, but I do listen. I do make time to just tune into my guides and listen and journal. And this morning I heard, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We've got to start talking about it. And I'm like, I thought, okay, let me just look and see about making a slideshow for my Instagram. And 222 on the timer. Thank you, Spirit. I found this really cool graphic that looked like a quantum grid and a spaceman astronaut and some hippie tie-dye stuff. And I was like, oh my God, some little stars and a barcode. And I was like, oh my God, this is my art. And I put together a slideshow, and I got really weird with it because a spiritual awakening can be weird. When you start waking up to your cosmic roots, when you start waking up to past lives, maybe you're somebody who came in to end generational traumas. Your ancestors might have picked you to be the one to come in and shift the lineage. I know that can sound out there, but if you found this podcast and you're listening, thank you. There's a reason. And the reason is because Spirit put me in a position to work through a bunch of my stuff, my shadows, and put me in a position to be able to learn all the various different dynamics that people experience when they go through a spiritual awakening. And what they showed me was ancient wisdom, hidden knowledge. They showed me mystical philosophers and people like Neville, Goddard, and then the New Age Abraham Hicks and Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and Alex Ferrari. I wouldn't consider, I don't know, Alex, I love you. I don't know how I would categorize him, except that I believe he is also an ascension guide here to help raise the vibration and help people on their path. If you haven't heard of his show, it's called Next Level Soul, and it's amazing. But there's been so many people in this space, and I have been gifted the ability to go down and do all the deep dives. Research the esoteric knowledge. Listen to books like Florence Scovel Shinn's Life is a Game, Learn How to Play It, that was written in 1925. Before we had technology, before we knew what VR headsets were, before we were calling it a simulation, and before we were hearing about quantum physics, Florence Scovel Shinn was telling everybody it's a game. It's a game. You just got to learn how to trust it. And if I hadn't discovered her work early on in my process, it may have been harder to buy into the theories of simulation theory, or it's like a video game, or it's a VR headset. All that would have sounded a little too science fiction for me. And as a matter of fact, I used to really have a distaste for science fiction because I thought stuff is way too out there. And now I love watching movies like that and looking for the hidden messages and the symbolism, because I do believe that these things are leaked out to the masses so that we can maybe learn to remember that we truly do sign up for this, and that we are souls who came here to experience what you cannot experience when you are in spirit form. And another person who I've studied a lot, let's just say 9 years of podcasts and lots of rabbit holes, which makes me somebody with I know a lot, but I'm a master of none. I don't remember the phrase, but I know enough to see the patterns and see how these things repeat themselves in different teachings, but that I put them all together and I see the overarching message, which is we create our own reality. I also discovered Dolores Cannon's work, and I talk a lot about Dolores Cannon with my clients. She was a woman who in the 1970s was doing hypnosis for people, and she is the one who came up with QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, QHHT. Because when she was working with people, she was just trying to help them lose weight or quit smoking, very surface level stuff, right? But she said she had an experience during one of her sessions that she actually regressed somebody to a past life. And she was so intrigued by it that she wanted to do more of that. And she was finding all kinds of information. She's the one who brings us the theories that life is a school and that we come here as souls to evolve our soul, to learn, to grow, to experience. And she also talked about the 3 waves of volunteers who came in. We had the boomers, we had the Gen Xers, and we have the millennial. And based on these various waves of people, we are being called to remember why we came here. And if you are hearing this show, I believe that you are remembering that you also signed up for a mission here to help with the ascension process, and that it takes all boots on the ground. 11:11 on the timer. Thank you, Spirit. Because the thing is, the way that I speak isn't going to be for everyone. The way that you speak isn't going to be for everyone. But we each have our soul group that we agreed to come here with. Whether we remember that or not, that's another story. But that I have discovered through the work that I do who my soul contracts are with, what kind of past lives we've had, if we've had cosmic lives, if we have had other experiences together. And it's so interesting, but the more and more I come out as my most authentic self, and by me going first, it's giving people in my collective an opportunity to say, well, I mean, Kelley, if she can think of it like that, then maybe I'm not so crazy. I do appear fairly normal on the exterior. I look professional. But when you are a soul, it's not about the exterior. It is so surface. These vessels are just our surface level existence. And our soul chose this life, this body, this family, these experiences expand to teach us contrast and lessons so that when we are ready to remember the game, we are able to understand the experience and help others rise. Because when you're one of the ones who agreed to go first, you're going to be the one who was ostracized from your tribe. You'll be thought of as the crazy one, the weirdo. And I laugh at that because there have been plenty of times in my past that I have just been hiding this side of me because I don't want to offend my people. I don't want my friends that I hang out with to think I'm crazy. But the reality is, I can't hide. I can't continue hiding and be my most authentic self and expect my people to find me. And so this morning I did a thing, which was create my awakening support group. It was very last minute. I'm giving people a couple days notice because I know that the right people will see the message and the right people will be there, and that it is not for me to chase. It is not for me to fret about, worry, push. Spirit is just asking me to be a resource. And that's what I signed up for. It's part of my mission. And I feel like this awakening support group will call in the people in my collective that I can help. And I just sent it to a friend of mine who's not on social media in case she was able to make it. And I just said, hey, if you're available, just want to let you know I'm hosting this. And she wrote back and she said, I can't. I'm busy, but have a great time. And I said, well, no problem. I understand it's short notice. This download just came in this morning, so Spirit just gave me this information. And she said, you just came up with all of that this morning? And I said, well, yeah. And she said, well, how do you know when the message is coming in and it's from your higher self or it's from your guides? And I said, well, first of all, you have to get really quiet. And then for me, I was not being quiet, but because my internet went out and I couldn't watch my video, I had to sit there quietly. And Spirit said, the message, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. It's like a whisper. And I've decided that's the only way I can operate, is very, very spirit-led, because when I first started making content, I would just turn on my camera and make content when I wanted to. And then what happened was that I started getting people that were noticing my content. And I started feeling like I had to make content. And so the conversations that were happening inside of my head were, what am I going to share next? What are we going to talk about? What do they need to learn? And I was like, no, go away, monkey mind, go away. That is not, no, we're not playing monkey mind. And Spirit backed me up on that and said, yep, no need. Don't force it. We will help you. You will feel called to share when the message that is coming through isn't forced. So my guides have said, you're going to post when you feel like posting, and you're going to rest when you feel like resting, and you're going to create when you feel like creating, and just follow that flow, follow the intuition, follow the creative nudges, follow the whisper, and trust that the right people will hear your message. And so I have to accept that's what I'm here to do. And then I have to acknowledge that I've done the work and that I've integrated my shadow and that I am a pure light vessel for the divine, and the messages that come in are through a clear channel. And honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, it makes me really uncomfortable to say that, because I have been so good at playing small my entire life that at 53 years old, it's a big ask to tell me I have to step into a leadership role or a role where I'm helping other people. There's a big responsibility. But again, it's that trust and faith that this is a frequency-based energetic transmission, and that the right people need to find it, and they will find it. I'm so grateful to the voices that I had when I was going through my process. You Are Effing Magnetic, Ascend with Abby. She has a great podcast if you're just wanting to learn the basics of energy and vibration and quantum. Go back through her episodes. She has a great app. She's amazing. I also listen to Crow 777, the Higher Side Chats. That's Greg Carlwood. Greg, I don't know him, but I love him. He's my vibe. Mark over at My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. I'm so proud of him, watching him go from being a UPS driver to a podcaster and calling in his tribe. It's awesome. I love it. And those have been the ones that I feel like we're growing together. And Spirit said, it's time for you to be a voice too. It's time for you to be a voice for the tribe that can hear you. I don't expect that to be everyone, but I do know that in frequency, vibration, alignment, that as long as I am putting out my most authentic version of myself and not doing it for the ego, not doing it for notoriety. How do I say that? Notoriety. Right. I'm not doing it for fame. I couldn't get that one out. Notoriety. I don't know. I'm not doing it for that. And Spirit knows that. I work for the divine. I work for God. And that can sound kind of religious, but I'm not religious. I am a divine being. I am a fragment of divine source. And I'm a true believer that we all are, including you. And that when we get really clear on clearing out the trauma, doing the shadow work, looking at all of our lessons as school, contrast, that we then alchemize those lessons into our superpower. And a lot of people will call it turning your pain into purpose or whatever. But I feel like as a new earth architect, I would rather show you how good life can be when you learn to surrender, when you learn to get into your truest form of alignment, when you are following your bliss, when you finally stop identifying as your victim self and start acknowledging that everything that you've been here and learned and experienced has been to forge you into remembering your purpose and your mission. Are you with me? Do you feel like there's more to life than just going to work, going to the gym, cooking to bed, getting up, and repeating everything over again? And if you are feeling like your soul has more to express, if your soul wants to speak, I'm not talking about your ego. I'm not talking about the expression of you going on social media to say something in order to see how many likes you can get. I'm not talking about collecting followers. If I'm being honest, that word even grosses me out, because I don't feel like I'm a guru. I don't want to be a guru. I feel like I am a divine counterpart who came here to help remind you that it's all a game, and that when you tap into your inner guidance system, that when you learn to trust your soul's calling, your soul's desire, and when you get into alignment by turning off the fear, the guilt, shame, unworthiness, people pleasing, all these kind of lower vibration emotions that we have like a bag over our shoulder that we're just carrying around, all this old shit. It's like a bag full of stories that we just carry around on our shoulder and like, look at my bag. Look at me. Look at all the shit in my bag. You want to hear about it? And then you open up the bag and you start telling your stories. You start retelling about your messed up relationship or your whatever it is, whatever's in your bag of stories. My goal in all of this is to help you recognize that your past that built you is not the foundation that you are going to be able to create your best life from. You have to completely wipe out your foundation and rebuild with new tools. And that's where we're going with this, is all the tips and tricks that I learned throughout my process, throughout all the various genres of information that are out there. They're all the same with different language attached to them. And I know this because I've done a lot of deep dives. So I'm going to end it there today because of this exciting new download that I received. I also want to talk about my program that I just updated called the Quantum Reset. And it is a 6-week program where you get one-on-one coaching. You get harmonic egg clearing sessions weekly. You'll have access to chatting with me, texting if you need to, voice notes, that type of thing. If you get stuck in your process, you're going to have weekly journal prompts. And we're going to go through and we're going to clear out your nervous system, your chakras, your ancestral line, your past lives, your current life, and subconscious blocks that are holding you back, as well as any childhood trauma that may still be living in there, in the corners, in the depths of your subconscious. And then in week 6, we will integrate everything. The difference today was that Spirit said, hey, why don't you offer them some of your harmonic egg music? I have all these beautiful USB thumb drives with harmonic egg music on them. And if you're somebody who is not located in the Reno, Nevada, I could mail you one of these USB drives with music. And after our coaching session, you can turn your music on. I will send you your energetic clearing through the ether. But if you want to have that relaxing music on in the background during your session, that might help you feel a little more in touch with what's happening on an energetic stance. I had never experienced the harmonic egg when I purchased my egg, and I had received a clearing from another egg owner, and it was at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was laying on my living room floor with my eyes closed, and I didn't have any music playing, but I could feel the whooshing, and the lights around me were moving, and I could feel the energy recalibrating in my body, even though I was laying there in complete silence. And so I know this works. I know I've experienced it, and I couldn't talk about it if I hadn't experienced it, because that's just me. I have to be an experiential receiver before I can really talk about something. And what I do know for sure is this technology is going to change the wave of the future. And if you are in your ascension process and you're not quite sure what shadow work is, or you're not quite sure what your desires are, I am opening my container to work with people one-on-one. That's where my magic is, because my knowledge base is so broad, and that typically, no matter what angle you're coming at your spiritual awakening from, I have enough understanding, because I have looked at both sides of every coin. I have neutrality, and I am a clear vessel, meaning I don't have any drama. There's no drama in my life. I am a neutral, unbiased vessel, and that is how I do my best work, by doing my energetic hygiene daily, so that I am putting my best foot forward before I'm working with anybody. I make sure that my chakras are in alignment, that I'm not preoccupied with external distractions. And this work is powerful. And you can do this ascension process so many, many, many different ways. I ask, if you're called to this energy, then I would say that you're probably meant to work with me. But there are hundreds of thousands of light workers who are boots on the ground. And there's breath work, there's yoga, there's meditation. There's so many different things you can do to help you along this path. And I think my biggest thing is you have to do something. Take action to clear the clutter out of your energetic body so that you can become the crystalline soul, the clear channel for source, so that you can do your work here on earth. That's all I have for now. I'll catch you in the next episode.